Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be on your show. The government of Pakistan had made it very clear since the regime change had happened. There were a lot of expectations from the international community that Pakistan probably will again open its borders to the new influx that we were, expecting. Pakistan has always, played as a very responsible member of the international community in terms of managing migration, and we have a very specific role by virtue of our geography. If you see, Pakistan has that, transit role to play, not only for the people but also for so many other trade and commerce to Central Asia. So Pakistan, had always committed and has always, displayed through its actions over the last 47 years that it is a very responsible member of the international community. However, when we wanted to, put the house in order, and for that, the first thing to do was to manage our borders properly and to know who is actually inside our borders and who is, here with a good intent and who is here with a negative intent. So Pakistan, gave a lot of time to the international community, to the Afghan government, and to the Afghan citizens who were in Pakistan to come to Pakistan through proper documents. Because if there are so many, millions of nameless and faceless Afghans roaming around, it is not only a security threat to the people of Pakistan, but also to those vulnerable Afghans who don't have any documents and they can be easily exploited. So the government of Pakistan very wisely, drafted the illegal foreigners repatriation plan. Number one, it was not Afghan specific. It was for everybody, every alien without a document. And number two, it had proposed certain stages, and we were giving a lot of, time to think, to pack, and to, if you are generally and genuinely vulnerable, then you need to come forward and talk to us so that we can, do something for you. So the plan was to first repatriate all those Afghans or all those international, citizens who had no document. So it was the illegals. The first one was the people without any documents. Then was the people with the Afghan Citizen Card. By the way, for the information of the viewers, let me tell you that the Afghan Citizen Card holders were given Afghan citizen cards in consultation with the Afghan authorities and with the understanding that they will be repatriated and taken back by the Afghan government. So the ACC phase also went through very smoothly, and we were able to repatriate close to 700 or 800,000 Afghan citizens of both the categories. Then came the proof of registration card holders. These are those people who have actually spent, more than 40 years in Pakistan, and they have genuine issues like, intermarriages. They have established their businesses. Some of their youth are engaged in education, in professional education, and so many other things that, qualify them to actually stay in Pakistan or at least repatriate through a process. So the government of Pakistan gave them a lot of time, a lot of opportunity to, come forward if they have a genuine issue. If you're married to a Pakistani citizen, you need to, come on our radar and let us know. If you have a genuine investment in Pakistan, you need to let us know. If you are a student, so the Pakistani government is actually, repatriating all those Afghans who don't have a good reason to be in Pakistan. So we've been doing that till now. We've repatriated close to 700,000 or 800,000 Afghans. And now, we have a fourth category too, which is all those Afghans who we call them Afghans in transit. They are those Afghan citizens who actually came to Pakistan after the change of regime in Kabul, and they have no intention to stay in Pakistan for obvious reasons because of their vulnerabilities, which are so big that even Pakistan is not a safe haven for them. And they, the number was quite big. It was around close to a million, some people say. So they were supposed to be taken by the different international governments, like the Americans, the Canadians, the Australians, the Europeans, and Pakistan. despite of the fact that most of them had no visa, had no passport, and no other, legal document to show their, legality and legal stay in Pakistan. But being, the elder brother probably in between the two, or being the more responsible nation, we gave them a lot of time, hoping that the international community will fulfill their commitment. They will come forward and they will take all these Afghans, who they promised to take. So this is the dilemma not only for Pakistan, but this is also a dilemma for the Afghan citizens who are in, caught in a limbo in a way. It's a long process actually. The government of Pakistan was engaged in exhaustive consultation with the different authorities here, because this is actually a federal mandate. The federal government has to decide, but the refugees are scattered in all the provinces. Majority are in KP, then Balochistan, then Punjab, and Sindh, and the federal capital. So it was not easy to actually, you have to coordinate with all the provinces, you have to take their opinion, and then you have to draft a policy like what should it actually look like, what should be the threshold for the investment, and what should be the, other conditionalities attached to it. So the government of Pakistan is in consultation with the Afghan businessmen. Their delegations are constantly meeting the authorities, and there's a lot of deliberation going on how to actually start it. We've never done the screening of Afghan citizens before. We don't even have a national asylum or refugee law to begin with. So it makes it quite difficult to navigate if you have legal conundrums, if you have administrative capacities issues. So Pakistan is actually in the process of devising a policy for not only the business community, but those who have genuine, risks to their lives on return, like, people with civil right issues, people with, there are so many other, issues which would make it difficult for them to return. But we are in the process of devising a plan for them. Uh, the government of Pakistan is in consultation mainly with the UN authorities, because of obvious reasons. UNHCR, for example, IOM, for example, we are, the authorities, the concerned authorities these days, they are in consultation. And, let me share a fact with you on the returnees. The majority of the returnees are going voluntarily. They're not being forcefully deported. We're giving them deadlines, we're giving them opportunities. And then when you look at the figures of all those Afghans who have repatriated voluntarily, most of them have their second home there. It is a very complex situation to explain in a very short interview. But we call it the Dwakpora phenomena, which in English would mean the two homes phenomena. Like these Afghans who are actually living in Pakistan, some of their, family members do live in Afghanistan, and they take care of their, properties, their interests there. So they don't leave Afghanistan totally. So it is going to be an issue for the regime because of the housing problem, I would suppose. That would be an issue. Then education would be an issue. Services, because Afghanistan, we normally, hear that Afghanistan's currency is very stable. No doubt it is stable, but it is a small economy. It cannot absorb a huge influx of citizens immediately entering Afghanistan. So it will be a challenge for the Afghan authorities. But the brighter side is that all those Afghans who are returning are mostly returning with certain skills they've gained in Pakistan, and it will contribute in the long run. And for the growth of Afghanistan on a long-term basis, they need to have their youth back into their economy. So I personally feel it will be a bit rough landing, but in the long run, it will be beneficial for the economy of Pakistan, for the culture of Afghanistan, for the growth of Afghanistan. Well, to answer this question, you need to actually look at the global trends. and some of the domestic issues that Germany has, and then also, the problems in Pakistan, the host communities. So if you look at the global trends, we see a rise of far right politics. We see a rise of anti-immigration sentiments, not only in Europe but also in America, Australia, like many other countries. You see this. So number one, there's a the rise of far right, in different countries is preventing the resettlement of genuine Afghans into their countries. Number one, if you study the domestic politics of Germany, it is again, they had done a tremendous job in the past in terms of accommodating vulnerable refugees, not only Afghans, but from other nationalities too. But of late, Germany has seen the rise of, extreme far right. One example is the Alternative for Germany, which we call the AFD, and it is also a member of the coalition government. So there were many promises made by such countries, but during the last 2 3 years, we've seen politics come into play. We've seen anti immigrants taking decisions because of the fact that they have come to the parliament. So Germany is in a dilemma, I would say. I give them some credit, but the thing is that they are in a dilemma. And one, for example, uh, they're sitting on the fence. This is what I would say. They're taking their time. They're not sure what side of the fence to actually jump, because once they are in power, then they are exposed to the realities on the ground, to briefings and data sharing. And probably AFD now is rethinking what what they were saying during the elections. And but it took them some time to re-examine every case again, and now they've decided to take them. But the dilemma for the Pakistani government and for the Afghans who are stranded in Pakistan is that they cannot wait for long. It has to be a certain time frame that you then see that the authorities are actually fulfilling. So in Pakistan, we feel that the Western countries generally are shying away from the promises that they had made. We want to, we've given them a lot of time. We've kept them in our capital city, all those families. We've taken care of them. We've given them a lot of protection, despite of the fact that they had no documents. Their visas had expired. But for how long will Pakistan wait? Pakistan has, genuine economic issues too. Pakistan has been hosting millions of Afghan citizens of different categories for almost 5 decades now. But if you look at Pakistan's internal issues, one small example will make it very clear. The actual figure, the actual figures of out-of-school kids in Pakistan is more than the size of Australia. So this is quite a humongous task that we are facing ourselves. Pakistan does not get any worthwhile assistance in managing these international citizens. We keep on hearing that many dollars are given to Pakistan, but for the to keep the record straight, all this money is given to the UN system. The UN system would spend it the way they want through their NGOs. The government of Pakistan does not get any budgetary support, and we actually are trying to. This is actually the very strict statements that we see from the Foreign Office are actually for the good of the Afghans who are stranded here, who are not really sure about their future because their kids are not going to school for the last 3 years. They don't have any employment, and they're living in small hotel rooms is actually a torture. It is not a luxury life. So what actually is Pakistan doing is that already, if you have made promises, we believed in your promises, we allowed them to stay here, but it's been almost 3 years now. So Pakistan is actually fighting a case for the migrants who are stranded in Pakistan. This is personally, this is what I believe. I would not say that there is absolutely no truth in these allegations. Probably some of them are true, because who controls the police constable on the ground? He's a king of self. When he is on the ground, he has an authority. You cannot stop him. But what the police actually does is not the policy of the state. And if you look at the total number of Afghans, living in Pakistan, the total category, it is more than 3 million. But if you look at the total number, the cases of harassment, it is hardly in hundreds or dozens. So the total percentage is very low. In a society like Pakistan, where you don't have documents, where you hardly are able to follow the law on the ground, because, as I said, the policeman is the king at the time he's on the ground. So how can you instruct him to be humane? How would you teach him the international human rights law? And there are so many procedures that are violated. I totally agree to it. And even there are so many vulnerable Pakistani citizens who would face these harassments. I'm not surprised. But if you look at the total number of Afghans living in Pakistan and then the number of cases which are reported, I think Pakistan is actually doing a good job, not a bad job. I totally agree with the future challenges lying ahead. There have been earthquakes. There's hunger in many parts of Afghanistan. Unemployment is on the rise. There's so many challenges that we agree there are. The government of Pakistan, I honestly uh, give them a lot of credit when I look at the way they have proceeded with this repatriation plan. They've given them a lot of time. And still, if we see the government of Pakistan, whenever we see that there is a serious threat to life on return because of certain, climatic changes or drought or whatever, Pakistan is a big brother, is a brother of Afghanistan. We will always stand with them. We were the only country who stood with them, through thick and thin for the last, 47, 48 years. And you see the implications, the fallouts of standing with Afghanistan. But irrespective of the fallout, we stood with them. And now, again, if there is any challenge, Pakistan will support them. And even I saw some of the provincial authorities of KP and some authorities, the welfare associations in Pakistan, they are even now responding to the calamities in Afghanistan. So these calamities actually bring us together. And even Afghans, when I tell, you know, whenever I'm in a meeting, I tell my colleagues that refugees, they actually bring the world together. They don't divide the world. Because of the Afghan refugees, the entire world community is engaged with Pakistan. So yes, Pakistan is, a genuine friend of Afghanistan. And I'm sure that Pakistan will take some pause, will take, its time and will look how, whenever the situation is a bit better. Even now, if we look at the repatriation plan, this has happened for the first time in 47 years. Because all this time we've been extending their stay on the grounds that the conditions inside Afghanistan are not conducive for return. And we did not, push them back. But now when we see a stable government there, now when we see, okay, the peace may be a bit, some call it the peace of the graveyard or a negative peace, but still we need to give peace some sort of a chance to, take its root. And, Pakistan will support Afghanistan in this transition. We will make sure that Afghanistan is stable while taking, all these Afghans back, so that a stable Afghanistan uh, actually has a good implication on a stable Pakistan. This is actually a very good question because this actually explains the global dilemmas of refugees wherever they are. The biggest problem for a refugee, wherever, any category, Syrian refugee, Afghan refugee, is the invisible wall of perceptions which blocks, their access to services. We we perceive that refugees are a threat to a society. I've been the commissioner for Afghan refugees for almost a decade. I've interacted with them at so many levels, at so many layers, that probably, there's anybody else well versed with the subject than I am because of my close association with them. I've written articles, research articles on Afghan refugees. And for that, I had to conduct research. So whenever I was, researching about how criminal this community is, I went to the documents, I went to the crimes and prosecution department because it is them who actually would publish annual crime data. And if you look at the total crime of Afghan refugees in the total crime of Pakistan. It is hardly, 1% or even at times less than 1%. And it is not a surprise if they are engaged in some sort of a criminal act because they are vulnerable, they are displaced, they don't have documents, they have to live their life, they have to break some sort of a law to live a living. So which makes them criminal at times. The problem is that we could not, actually gather genuine data about this community. The authorities I blame, the UN agencies I blame. We could not translate meaningful messages out of this, the data that we should have collected to the public community so that they could not, the public is perceiving things about Afghan refugees. Afghan refugees are not a threat. They are extremely law-abiding citizens because they can only live in a country without documents if they follow the law, if they are obedient. And they are always busy in earning their livelihoods. So why would they indulge in criminal acts? The problem is that if you have a porous border and if people have a similar ethnicity, so, if the criminal element with a criminal intent, if he enters Pakistan or if he is already in Pakistan, and if he does anything, negative to the state of Pakistan, if that number is even 0.001%, the ultimate wrath would fall on the Afghan citizens as a whole community. So I challenge this, perception that the Afghans are engaged in anti-state activities. No, they're absolutely not. And if there is any unfortunate person who is still, acting against Pakistan, if he's nabbed, he will be, dealt with as per the law of the land. We have Pakistani criminals too. What do we do with them? Do we make them stateless? We throw them out of the country? No. We put them in jail. We punish them as per the law of the land. And this is what we do with the refugees. Refugees are whoever if they commit a crime, they are nabbed, they are put into jail. But if there are Afghan citizens coming to Pakistan, because this thing is very clear, there is a lot of crime, a lot of terrorism emanating from Afghanistan towards Pakistan. This is a fact. Nobody is denying it. The TTP is, being kept in Afghanistan. They are being patronized in Afghanistan. There are so many other things. So that thing will always probably remain. Looking at the overall, stability of the region, we live in a very unstable region. But ultimately, the wrath would follow on this community, which is trying to live a very disciplined, law-abiding, life in Pakistan. And by virtue of their 47 years of stay in Pakistan, but having an Afghan descent, they've acquired a very unique role. They can play the role of a bridge between the two countries because they have interest in Afghanistan, they have love and respect for Pakistan. So this is a very unique community which should not be actually mixed up with the terrorists, people who are Afghans or Pakistanis, and they should be, groomed for this role, to play the role of a bridge between the two countries. Pakistan has a very clear vision for its neighbors, very, very clear vision for its neighbors. We see Afghanistan as our permanent neighbor. We cannot change our neighbors. We don't want to change Afghanistan as our neighbor because we love them. And we have a very long shared history. We have, similar ethnicity, religion, culture, trade. And this movement of people across the border has always been there for centuries because, this is actually Afghanistan is a gateway to Central Asia. Pakistan is planning to provide the transit facilities to the Central Asian countries. China is extending CPEC to Afghanistan and through Afghanistan to the Central Asian countries. Pakistan, the Ministry of Communication is, extremely busy. They're meeting their counterparts of Russia, of Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. We are having meetings with, all these the heads of states and the relevant ministries to have multiple, connectivity routes through Afghanistan. So we have to live with a very stable, a very prosperous, a very friendly Afghanistan. So Pakistan is already the two, the people-to-people contact by virtue of hosting Afghans in Pakistan has, given us a very very, positive leverage or a positive, strength both ways, Afghanistan and Pakistan. So I think Pakistan is, not only considering, but it is already in action. We are meeting the Afghan authorities, not only Pakistan, but the region, the entire region is in contact, how to make it, possible. And believe me, if we could bring peace and stability and prosperity and trade and people to people contact with Afghanistan, it will be a win-win situation, not only for Afghanistan and Pakistan, but the entire region. Afghans who are living in different European countries, they are dying to come back to Afghanistan. I am personally in contact with them. Because, one thing which I am very sure about is that nationalism is actually a virtue of youth. And if you look at Afghans, they're all young people. So if they, no matter if they are in a very prosperous European country, living a stable life, they're all dying to come back to Afghanistan because it is their ultimate identity, it is their ultimate root. So I have a very, I'm very confident about the future of Afghanistan. I'm very confident about the future of Pakistan and Afghanistan. It should not only be gauged, in terms of refugee management. We should actually be, discussing trade and culture and tourism and people-to-people contact. I visualize motorways, running through the Torkham border. I visualize, industrial parks across both the borders. I visualize because this is the actual vision of a state. Whatever happens on the ground is real politics. But the ultimate destination of any state would be peaceful coexistence. And this is what we all are working for.